Alright, so what I'd like to talk about now is working with some of those specialized tools to create some specialized views on a sheet of paper off of our solid model. So I've got a file here. It's called Section Tools, exercise 11B, and what we're going to do is we are going to take these solids, we're going to stick them on paper, but we're going to do some specialized drawing creation with them. Alright, so our first step is let's go to layout 1, let's see what's on it. The answer is nothing. Go back to our model. And I'd like you to use the base view command to take that first object from model space and stick it over onto layout 1. Alright, now notice when you're placing this, it's showing you the front view. That's because up here, it's selecting front view. We can switch this to whatever we want. We could switch it into an isometric view. We can switch it into any of the standard views. And I'd like you to switch it to top. See, this is what I'd like to see. Top view. Okay, so you can pick the view you want to have as your parent view. And then we're going to pull it down here. And enter. And that's going to give us our top and our front view, two standard views, right? So now what we can do is we can work with some of these specialized tools to create some special views. For example, I'd like to take the front view and I would like to section it. Okay, so do you remember what that means? This is one of the things we considered in the B12 class, making section views. Section views are designed to clarify where objects are solid or hollow in their internal structure. A lot of times they're less confusing than working with hidden lines, especially if the part's very complex. So the idea is basically we're sawing through the part. We are representing the solid parts by filling them up with hatch, and then the parts that we didn't cut through anything, well, they're left blank. So on our little block here with a couple of counterbore holes, here is our top view, and here is our cutting plane line, and here is the section view that results. Now, there's a bunch of information over in Canvas for you to talk about sections, and we know there are full sections where you cut the object completely in half, and the resulting view is fully sectioned. There are half sections where only half of the view is sectioned, and then there are offset sections where we're cutting through a number of different elements and showing how it looks where the cuts are. Okay? So you can take a look at Canvas if you need a refresher, or you can take a look at your B12 course pack. But basically I want to go in and I want to say, hey, I want a section and I'd like a full section. So I'm going to use the full section tool, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up with the midpoint on this edge. I'm going to go click, I'm going to go click, and that is my cutting plane. Okay, now it's thinking, and as I move my cursor off to the right, we're going to see some magic happen. Alright, do you see the magic happening? So AutoCAD's able to look at your 3D solid, you determine where you want to cut open, you put a left click where you want that section view and hit OK. And now there's a fully sectioned side view off of that front view. Pretty snazzy, huh? Yeah, so it adds the cutting plane. It adds a couple of letters to identify the section. It even tags it over here and tells you the size, which is nice, right? So that is making a section, and we can do it off of any view. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get rid of the cutting plane line, and notice what happens when I get rid of the cutting plane line. You see how the section view disappeared? Because the section view depends on that cutting plane. I'm going to get rid of the front view, and I'm going to click on the top, and I can run a section through the top. I'll just use the center point of the hole as my location. Alright, and now my front view will be drawn as a section. Looks pretty nice. Okay, let's go back to our model. So that took care of our first model, our first solid. Our second one's going to be this guy here. I'm going to run a base view, from model space of this part. And whoops, I don't want it on this sheet, do I? So let's go back. Let's go to our next layout, layout 2, which is blank. Okay, now I'm all queued up and ready to go. Now when I do this, AutoCAD will know, hey, go to the last active layout. I'll pick this guy. And now here's what we got, right? So I would like the front view on this one. And that's all I want. So I'll hit OK. And I'll hit Enter. And there's my front view. All right, so that's confusing. There's a lot of weird stuff going on there. So what we'll do is we'll click on that front view, and we'll say, give me a section. But this time I want a half section. So now check out how this is going to work. I'm going to find the center point. I'm going to track over. I'm going to start my cutting plane. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to start a half section. I'm going to find the center point. I'm going to track up. Now, what I want to do is this. I want to cut through it from the top to the center. And I'm going to click, left click out here. And on that second click, do you see what happened? It's generated my view. I will left click out space and hit OK. And now check it out. The top half is sectioned, right? Because we're cutting out that part. The bottom half is just what the part looks like on the outside. Pretty snazzy. Okay. Let's look at layout 3. Layout 3's got nothing on it. I'll go back to model space. I'd like to take the tissue box looking thing here. I'd like to send that over to layout 3. So select, stick it on there. This time I want the top. I want the top view, and I'll hit OK. I don't want any more views, so I'll hit Enter. Okay. And here we go. I'm going to pick section. I'm going to pick offset section this time. And now check it out. I'm going to line up with the center point on that hole and click and go through the hole. And then when I get a little bit past the hole, I'm going to click again. And that's going to let me bend my cutting plane line. Okay, and then I will line it up. With the next element. And then I will bend it up again. I will line it up with the next element. And click one last time. And then when you're all done clicking, hit Enter. And if we take a look, we see our cutting plane has zigzagged through the part. And then down here in the front view, it's going to create a view that looks exactly like what this would look like if we sawed through it, right? Because the hole here and the slot and the hole here are not in one straight line, but the cutting plane is passing through all of them and showing us what we would see if we did cut through all of them. Okay, so that is our offset section. Let's go back to layout 4 now. Here's our last layout. Let's take a look at the model. This looks familiar, doesn't it? This is something that we drew earlier in the semester. This was that rod support, except now it's a 3D model. We're going to go to base view from model space, enter, send it over there, plop the front view on, hit OK. Now you can stick the top view in if you want, that's okay, but that's all we want for standard views. And we see that there's some strangeness going on. Take a look, right? It's kind of weird, the locations of the holes here and here, because what AutoCAD is doing is it's projecting exactly what's there, right? And that can be kind of confusing. So let's get rid of that. What we're going to work with is we're going to work with that aligned section, which is our last section. So I'm going to start by lining up with the hole at the top. I'm going to go through the center point of the flange, and then check it out. Going to go at an angle is that? Let's just set it for every 10, right? So here is 10, here's 20, here's 30. Okay. So now look at my cutting plane, how it's passing through the top hole, through the center point, and it's going through this secondary hole. And I will click and hit enter, and look what we get over on the side. Ta-da! Yeah, so, interesting. Interesting. What did it do there? It didn't do the hatch up on top. I wonder why. AutoCAD, stop making me look like a dope, please. Okay. One more time. We'll go clicky, clicky. Clicky. And enter. And click. And okay. Alright. Well, let's see. AutoCAD 2021. Is that what I'm working with? That shouldn't be happening. That should be solid with hatch. This should be solid with hatch too. I'm not sure why it's fighting me, but it is. And you know what? I'm not going to beat it up too bad. Okay. I'll get back to you on that one. So now let's take a look at a couple things. The cutting plane. I showed you earlier what happens if you get rid of the cutting plane. The cutting plane generates the section. So if you lose the cutting plane, you lose the section also. The cutting plane is live, which means if I move the cutting plane, do you see what just happened to the section? See, the section will update based on the location of the cutting plane. If we're cutting through nothing but solid, it's all solid. If we cut through a little tiny bit, then we'll get a little tiny bit. And if we get it back in the center, now it's cutting through the whole thing. So that's kind of cool. The section will automatically update if you move your cutting plane. Some other cool things that we can do. I can click my section view and I can project it as an, wait for it, isometric section. Snazzy. Now this would be a pain in the neck to have to draw it, but look at how nice AutoCAD just did that for us, right? The tag that AutoCAD puts on here is nice, but I'd like you guys to change yours up. The tags should be Romans for a textile and an 1/8 inch tall. If you're asking why is it so dang big and why is it the wrong font, it's because there's a style that controls these generated views and tags, and we could go in there and we could work with the style, and we could update a style or create a style, but I'd rather not do that. We can easily change the size of the text and the style of the text without having to update a lot of stuff. Okay, so that's good to go with a nice projected section view. I'll do the same thing here, and maybe for this one I'll use quick properties. The style should be Romans, the height should be 0.125, and I can pull a projected view off of here. Projected, there we go, as an isometric section. Again, that's just awesome that it'll do all that work, so you don't have to. Here is our offset section. That's going to be Roman style, 0.125. Cool. We can project isometric section off of here. Big honkin' mama. Now, the only one we can't do a projected section off of is this guy here. At least we couldn't in the last version. Let me see if that's updated. Projected section, it says no. Yeah, so the line section will now project for you into an isometric. That's okay. We can deal with that. But we will change the style and the text height. what other sorts of things would you need on these drawings? Well, I mean, think about it. You're going to need center marks, you're going to need center lines, right? So all of those things that you would normally need would have to get added, and they're easily done. The tool is pretty cool. There is only one thing that it doesn't do right, and I want to show it to you over here. Can you identify what's wrong with the front view? So there's something wrong with the front view. And I guess this is because AutoCAD, a lot of it is driven by software engineers and not so much by people that have a tremendous knowledge of technical drawing, which is surprising. But there's something wrong with this front view. Do you know what it is? So if you're having a hard time figuring that out, no worries. This is more or less the same idea, this model here. And take a look at this model, and take a look at our CAD model, and you're going to see that it's added some stuff in this front view that we don't need. Do you see it yet? See, when the cutting plane bends, there shouldn't be a line. When the cutting plane bent there, there shouldn't be a line. The cutting plane bends here, there shouldn't be a line. And this is a convention in technical drawing. There shouldn't be a line because, look, we're not really cutting this thing open, are we? No, we're not. We're drawing it under the idea of where is it solid and hollow as the cutting plane passes through the object. So, unfortunately, this is just one of the things with AutoCAD's section tool that has not been updated. It adds a line there, that vertical line, and it adds a vertical line there because that's where my cutting plane bent. You know what, it's not right, but it is how it is, and we're just going to deal with it. Okay, but if you notice that or you're wondering about that, you're absolutely right. It shouldn't look that way. Okay, so these are the section tools in AutoCAD. And we are ready to go on to our big assignment now.